Hello and welcome everybody to the Company Chics Conversation podcast. My name is Lakeisha Copeland. I'm so excited today. We have a very special guest with us today. And before we get to our guest, I wanted to go over today's confession. It is my tongue is a pen of a ready writer. And so our guest today, her name is Sarah Cook. And she's a business coach. Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So I work with women who want to grow a business that allows them to live a life that they want to. So I help them with simple marketing and sales strategies that allow them to do that. And we look at things to keep things as simple and as easy and as straightforward as possible. I love to keep things simple and don't believe that business needs to be complicated.
And where are you from? I hear your accent.
Yeah, so I'm from the UK. I live in Hertfordshire, which is about 40 minutes northwest of London.
Oh, wow. So what time is it there?
So it's about 4:30 in the afternoon right now.
Okay, cool. And so, how long you been in business?
So I have been, gosh, it's coming up to 10 years now, and I kind of it's very much driven by my son, who is nearly 10. So I left the corporate world. I'd been working in the corporate world for about 15 years, sales and marketing, brand strategy. And then left the corporate world. I was living and working in Singapore, actually in Asia, and left the corporate space to have my first child. And then about 4 months after that, decided that actually I wanted to be Sarah again. I didn't just want to be mum. As much as I loved being mum, I needed something for me as well. So that's when I ventured into the entrepreneurial world and yeah, retrained and kind of a bit of a journey through to where I am today.
So how was your transition from corporate to mom to being an entrepreneur? How did that, how was that for you?
Do you know what? It's definitely been a journey. It's definitely been a transition. um, One of the reasons that I sort of originally was thinking about leaving the corporate world was that I'd hit burnout. So I was regional marketing manager for a really big global company, which meant that I was doing a lot of traveling, running lots of events, doing big marketing campaigns across most of Asia. And I remember coming back from one trip where I'd done 7 cities, 7 days, 6 events, and it was just full on. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I'm loving my job, but this feels busy. And I was so tired. My body was starting to shut down. And then I found out I was pregnant. And that really shifted my perspective on actually what I wanted to do, what was important to me. Um, and then when I had my son, he nearly died in childbirth. So that was again another trigger point for me of going, actually, I probably don't want to go back to the corporate world, but what do I want to do? And it wasn't until I think I said earlier, about 4 months in, that I thought, actually, now's the time that I'm feeling okay, but know that I need to do something else for me. So I retrained as a holistic health therapist. Um, More because I was interested in it. I'd spent years previously competing as an athlete and just really valued, how important it is to look after our bodies. And I think the experience of hitting burnout helped me with that too. So retrained as a holistic therapist, became fully booked within 5 months, very quickly realized that that was, whilst great, actually it hit a bit of a sticking point that I'd lost my flexible freedom. I had an income cap. I couldn't earn any more money, couldn't help any more people. So I added in some product lines, some physical products, started doing some online support, online programs, and then moved more into the business coaching support space. Probably about 6 years ago now, as a result of lots of people saying, well, how have you done it? How have you started kind of evolving and utilizing all of your journey to be able to do what you are now today? And so in some ways, it's the same with us women, isn't it? That we take for granted what we're good at. And I kind of hadn't really realized that that was one of my strengths. And that sort of, yeah, evolved into coaching and supporting other women in business who are wanting to grow their businesses, but still live life in a way that feels amazing for them.
So when you're helping women, do you see that they have some of the same struggles? Like, what are some of the pitfalls that you seem to be coming?
Do you know what? I think there's, as women, we're very self-critical. We tend to analyze everything. And whilst that can be really, really powerful, I think sometimes it is just taking the next decision in front of us and the next step forward, rather than holding into procrastination and never making a decision. I think also I do see a lot of women that want to be perfect at things right from the start, and that can give us a bit of a fear of failure. And I actually think, as individuals, as people, we're all good at different things, and it's okay to get support. It's okay to ask for help on something that you don't know how to do. But it's also okay to not get things right first time. And if you look at lots of the big names of successful people, actually they weren't successful in what they're doing straight away. And I think that's a really useful reminder for all of us. I think the other thing that I really notice is that women are traditionally, givers. We like to help people, we like to care for people. And sometimes that can be at the expense of our own health, mindset, as well as physical health, emotional health. And I think it's really important that we, not in a selfish way, but actually really do look for ways to strengthen ourselves, to optimize our emotional, mental, physical health, to be able to do all the other things that we want to, whether that is caring for a family, looking after somebody, running a business, or just other things. It's a really important thing.
Yeah, so you mentioned that it's so important that like we're our own critics. Like it's so important that we believe and trust in ourselves. So what are some things that we can do to strengthen our belief?
I think the first thing is awareness. I think just being aware of what you need energetically. We're all different, and I think, you know, understanding what it is that makes us feel good, um, trying to create some boundaries in place to be able to say yes to things, be able to say no to things, is really important. And I think having that awareness and then putting, not a kind of strict plan of action, but making sure you are doing things and doing something for you every day. When I first started out in running my business, I did everything else for everybody else at the beginning of the day and throughout the day. And it wasn't until the end of the day that I was like, right, I need to go and do my exercise, or I need to go and do whatever. And if I had had too busy a day, or I'd had to, pick up my children or something like that, or something had happened, a curveball had happened, it meant that I hadn't done that thing for me. And I started resenting things. I started not being the nicest of person. And I know that for me to be the best coach I can be, the best mom I can be, the best wife I can be, I have to do something for me at the beginning of each day. And that could be my exercise. It could be some self-development. It could even be just going for a coffee with a friend. But I think just starting the day in a way that feels great for you is really powerful. I think also, looking at how we can add more joy into our day on an everyday basis. And this is really, as a positive psychology coach, so I'd retrained about 2 years ago now, just looking at how we can support ourselves from, I guess, from a mindset perspective, but also health perspective, because we know that we are more productive if we're feeling healthy and happy. We know that we get better results, we make better decisions. And just looking at ways that throughout our day that we can add a little bit more joy, a little bit more happiness into things. And on an individual basis, it might sound trivial, but thinking, why are we leaving our favorite shower gel to special occasions? Why not let's use our favorite shower gel every day and make ourselves feel good? Let's wear a lovely piece of jewelry to make ourselves feel good. Let's put on our favorite color lipstick. Let's dress in a way that makes us feel good. So on an individual kind of decision, they all sound quite trivial, as I said, but actually when you start stacking those up, actually it becomes really powerful, because when a curveball does come or something negative happens, which in life it does, then we're much better equipped to react in a more positive way rather than in a negative way. And I think that becomes really powerful for us as just living healthier and happier lives, but also, in our careers, in our relationships, just reframing things in a really positive way becomes really important as well.
That is so true because when you get your hair done or you buy a new outfit and you look good, like you just feel a certain
You
like
feel
you
it,
just
right?
feel it. You feel
Yeah.
beautiful, you feel different.
Yeah. So why do we not do this every day? I mean, we don't need to get a haircut every day, right? But we could definitely
Yeah.
dress in a way that makes us feel good. Or
Yeah.
yeah, like I think it's really important. And those are the things that help us from an internal side of things. There's so much that we can't control, that do affect a lot of people, the weather, stuff going on in the media, but we can choose how we respond to that if we've got our internal feelings in a positive way.
Yes. And I also think it's important for us to um know that we're not going to have all the answers. It's not going to be perfect when we first start. But
Yeah,
that's where developing your gifts come from. Like sometimes we are afraid to develop what we want to do. We're afraid to develop the idea or develop the business or the gifts or the talents that we have.
definitely. And I think that's it, isn't it? Change feels scary because we've never done it before.
Yeah.
Um, I think sometimes it's channeling our inner child. When we first learn to walk, we get up, we fall down again. We take a couple of steps, we fall down again because we haven't learned how to do it. Whereas as an adult, we take walking for granted.
Yeah.
And, that's where that sort of self-judgment comes from, I think, as well. But it's okay to push ourselves. I think it's pushing the edges and developing ourselves, getting curious about whatever it is that you're working on. And I think also recognizing that there are different ways to do things as well, and we get to choose how we do those. But if we're so laser focused on only one way, then we can't see different perspective. I think curiosity and perspective is so powerful, which is one of the reasons I love working with a coach, because they see a different lens on things, looking at it from a different perspective. So yeah, it's really important.
Yeah. And it's like we have to go back to that inner child when we weren't afraid to do new things or try new things. Like, where did that all that fear come from?
Yeah. And I think it comes from the external, doesn't it? We might hear
Yeah.
a comment, or, and a lot of it comes back from our sort of still from our childhood, but slightly older, where a teacher might have said something at school where we felt uncomfortable sharing an opinion in class. Or
Yeah.
it might be a friend that said, "Oh, I don't like your hair like that." Or, and then we create these internal belief systems that hold us in that space, even when we're years and years older, but we have that cemented at such a young age, and it can be really hard to change that belief system as well.
Yeah, that is so, so true. So, you also I read that you are an author, you have a book?
I do, yes. So I wrote a book called Healthy You, Wealthy Business, which in some ways brings together a lot of what we've been talking about. So the Healthy You bit is really, it's much more of a self-development piece. I think one of the reasons I decided to write the book is that I'd seen lots of self-development books, I'd seen lots of business books, but I'd seen none that actually brought the two together. And for me, that's really powerful, because you can have the best strategy in the world from a business perspective, but if you don't believe it, if you don't show up for it, if you're too sick to deliver it, it's not going to happen. You're not going to have a wealthy business. So really starting with ourselves, the emotional, the physical, the, I suppose, that full health piece, not the sort of traditional sense of actually how do we show up? How do we get ourselves into the best possible frame of mind, physically as well, that allows us to create a business that feels amazing, that feels full of joy, gets to feel easy when you've got the structures in place. And as I said right at the beginning, for me, it's about building a business that allows you to live life in the way that you want to. I think as business owners, we're very lucky, we're very privileged to be able to choose how we spend our days and have conversations with you like this. We're
Yeah.
not told a time frame, right? Whereas in corporate world, we obviously are. And we need to lean into that. Like, how many people set up a business and are working more hours than they were in corporate, or feel so burnt out that they're stuck in the kind of the doing every day? And I think from my various kind of highs and lows, both within corporate as well as personal experiences, have really taught me to go, actually, there's so much more to this. and being driven by what we love to do and how we love to help people, but also the performance of that and the performance of ourselves in the sense of how we operate, as well as the performance of our business. That's what's really going to create a profitable business.
Wow. And so, like, where can we purchase this book? It sounds so amazing. Where can we get it?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. So it's available all around the world. So if you head to Amazon and type in Healthy You, Wealthy Business, or even my name, Sarah Cooke, it's got an E on the end. The other place you could go to, which might be easier, is my website, sarahcookecoaching.com, and you'll find a link in there as well.
Wow. And where can we find you on social media? What is your handles?
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Cooke Coaching. I keep it super simple. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. You come and find me. I'd love to connect. I love having conversations, and I think that's how we learn. That's how we get curious as well, right?
And so, so if my listeners like they wanted to, I don't know, they wanted you to be their coach, what are some of the things that you can help them with?
Yeah, sure. So my thing is marketing and sales and helping you create amazing businesses that and offers within your business that feel aligned to you, but actually creating the marketing and the sales strategy that attracts, builds that connection, and then converts in a really simple, straightforward way. As I just don't believe in having to overcomplicate things. So I'm all about collapsing time, giving you simple, straightforward strategies to get fully booked and build and scale your business on the back of that.
Wow. And so what is your website? One more time for our listeners.
So my website, it's sarahcookecoaching.com.
It was such a pleasure talking to you. If you have one last piece of advice that you would like to give my listeners about building and scaling a business, overcoming limited beliefs and building their confidence, what would you say to them?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I would say think about the goals that you have or that you want, personal as well as business. And I think that's really important. Most people just start with the business goals. It has to be about building your life. And then reverse engineer that. So you've got your goals, reverse engineer that as to what's the simplest, easiest way possible for you to achieve it. And then you can break that down into the actions that you need to take.
Right, it's just like making one big goal, small goals, huh?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, it's keeping it simple.
But that's so true because when you break that goal down, and it's like, okay, this is my goal, and these are the steps I need to take. It is so much easier than to look at, oh, how do I become a billionaire?
Yeah, right. Like I have so many clients that say, oh, I've got all of these ideas and I could do this and I could do that. And I'm like, okay, let's pull this back. What's your goal? What feels good for you? Like, what's the easiest, simplest way for you to hit that goal? Like, we don't need to make this complicated. There's so many, when we're thinking about, I don't know, climbing up a mountain, there's hundreds and thousands probably of different pathways, routes, steps that we can
Yeah.
take to get up there. Which one feels best for you? And there is, and in all honesty, there's no real right way other than the one that feels the best for you, because we all have different knowledge and experience and things that get us excited. And someone might go, do you know what? I want to go this way. And then someone else might go, well, I want to go this way because the view looks better that way. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's go that way. So for me, I don't believe in a cookie cutter approach when it comes to growing a business. It has to feel aligned to you, and it has to bring you joy. That's the whole point of running a business, is for you to love what you're doing, but also to support the people that you're here to do. So let's keep it simple. Let's keep it easy. Let's make those decisions with that in mind, because then you're going to live a much healthier, happier life as well.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. I do hope to have more conversations with you on this podcast.
Me too. I would love that. Yeah, I think it's an important conversation to have. I love listening
Yeah.
to yours. And there's just, I think conversations create those little moments of thought for other people and your listeners as well, of just going, actually, yeah, maybe there is a different way of doing things, or actually that sparked off something else that I could do too.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will definitely be in touch with you again. And thank you all for listening to the Company Chicks conversation. Bye bye.